tracking a dangerous weather maker.
Devastation left in its wake.
Thunderstorms and tornado threats for Maryland.
How strong they'll be and when the worst will hit.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
But first tonight on Fox 45 News at 10, the breaking news that we've been tracking all day long. The raids of locations tied to Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh.
Investigators taking box after box of documents out of those locations. The action puts a big new twist in the Healthy Holly book scandal. Tonight, we have the very latest information on the raids and the impact on Baltimore.
Right now, the future of the leadership in Baltimore hangs in the balance. Mayor Pugh's attorney saying that she is not lucid enough to make a decision about resigning.
We'll have more on that in a moment. Investigators now are poring over all of these documents in their possession, seized from 7 locations around the city. In West Baltimore, agents focused on the 2 homes Mayor Catherine Pugh owns in the neighborhood. Agents spent the majority of their time at the mayor's primary residence. A similar scene played out at City Hall. The city solicitor addressed the actions of those agents. Andre Davis says the search of City Hall was limited to the mayor's suite and office on the 2nd floor.
I have made the determination that disclosure of the return at this time would be premature and may well impede the success of the ongoing investigation.
Our team of reporters tracking the results of the FBI raids into the night.
Jeff Abel will join us in just a few minutes to talk about the future of Mayor Pugh. But first, Shelley Orman joins us with the latest information from the mayor's attorney. Shelley?
Well, Kai and Jennifer, he says that she is still under a doctor's care here at home. He says her case of pneumonia was severe and says that it led to bronchitis. Given the stress that she's under, he also says that stress has taken a toll. And given all of that, he says that she is not lucid enough to make a decision yet as to her future as mayor. Speaking outside Mayor Catherine Pugh's Ashburton home.
The mayor's home.
Her attorney, Steve Silverman, confirming she is inside and she was at home as FBI agents raided her house this morning.
There's nothing incriminating that came out of her home, just normal business records.
Silverman says Mayor Pugh is still sick. She's not been seen in public in a month since going on medical leave for pneumonia.
She is physically still ill, and she is obviously emotionally extremely distraught. And I feel terrible for her as a human being.
He says she's heard the calls for her resignation, but is not in the right frame of mind to make a decision.
She's leaning towards making the best decision in the best interest of the citizens of Baltimore City.
FBI agents were also at Silverman's office today. He says they took financial records from the mayor's accountant.
We kept her files in a separate cabinet.
As for rumors about documents being shredded at City Hall, her attorney calls that a misunderstanding.
The mayor has not obstructed justice. Nobody that works for her, to my knowledge, has been told to obstruct justice or shred documents, and that was really a whole lot to do about nothing.
Silverman says that the doctor will be back again tomorrow to evaluate the mayor. He also says that she is truly sorry for being a distraction to the city. Live in Ashburton tonight, Shelley Orman, Fox 45 News.
Shelley, thank you. So the FBI raid on locations connected to the mayor reveals a new level of scrutiny of Catherine Pugh's actions. Here's a look at other investigations that we know about. The Baltimore City Board of Ethics opened an investigation to see whether the mayor violated ethical codes over her book deal. The Maryland State Prosecutor is investigating Mayor Pugh's $500,000 book sale to the University of Maryland Medical System. The Office of the Inspector General, a city watchdog office, has been asked to investigate Kaiser Permanente's book purchase. The UMMS Board of Directors hired an independent consulting firm to review if contracts awarded to board members were legal. And the Maryland Insurance Administration is investigating firms that may have been involved with buying the mayor's Healthy Holly books.
Well, as the scandal and legal actions grow, Governor Hogan is calling on Mayor Pugh to resign, saying now more than ever, Baltimore City needs strong and responsible leadership. Mayor Pugh has lost the public trust. She is clearly not fit to lead. For the good of the city, Mayor Pugh must resign. The statement from Governor Hogan adds to a long list of people calling for the mayor to step down. Before the governor, the state comptroller, the entire Baltimore City Council, the Greater Baltimore Committee, and Baltimore's delegation in Annapolis have all said that Mayor Pugh needs to resign.
Maryland's congressional delegation has been far less vocal about the mayor's fate. Jeff Abel joins us live right now at City Hall with an explanation about that. Jeff?
You know, it appears to be the calm after the storm here at City Hall tonight. You can see up on the second floor, Mayor's office suite. All appears to be quiet at this hour. The raid is over. The federal agents are gone, but all is still not well here at City Hall. In West Baltimore today,
our time is done.
The long-timers were shaking their heads over the latest turn of events at City Hall.
What happened this morning is an instrument should make her resign.
But so far, there's no indication the mayor plans to step down. Already, Baltimore's business community and Baltimore City Council have called on the mayor to resign, but Congressman Elijah Cummings has not.
I'm hoping that she will give a lot of consideration to what is going on in the city and do what's in the best interest of our city.
Is it in the best interest of the city that she steps down?
I've made the statement that I'm going to make.
When you're silent, you're condoning the behavior.
Political analyst John Deedy says it's time the congressman call on the mayor to resign.
When he talks, people listen. And he needs to focus a little less on Donald Trump and focus on the serious problems in Baltimore regarding Mayor Pugh. Making these odd statements that doesn't call for resignation isn't good enough. And right now, Baltimore is rudderless.
At the opening of a West Baltimore community center today, the acting mayor was on stage. The locals predict they may never see the elected mayor again.
Once you lose trust and respect, you can never earn it back.
Back here at City Hall, many city workers today were allowed to take an early leave right after those federal agents came in this morning to raid City Hall. We're live at City Hall. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Thank you, Jeff. Well, the past couple of months have brought surprising revelations concerning Mayor Pugh's book deals. On March 18th, the mayor stepped down from the UMMS board, then returned a $100,000 payment. On March 25th, the mayor announced she had pneumonia. March 28th, she held that news conference in an attempt to explain the book deals. On April 1st, the mayor announced she was taking a leave of absence because of her illness. Now, that was the same day Governor Hogan requested that the state prosecutor investigate the UMMS book deal. On April 3rd, Baltimore City opened an ethics investigation into Mayor Pugh's actions. And today, the FBI raided locations connected to Mayor Catherine Pugh, hauling off boxes full of items to be examined.
The action federal agents took today was extensive and coordinated, fanning out to raid 7 locations across the city. In addition to the mayor's home on Elamont Road in Ashburton, federal agents raided the mayor's second home on Denelin Road, about a block away. The FBI also served a warrant at the offices of the mayor's attorney, Stephen Silverman, on North Charles Street. Federal agents also showed up at the Maryland Center for Adult Training on Park Heights Avenue, and the consignment shop boutique owned by the mayor and city comptroller Joan Pratt. The boutique was shut down at the end of last year. Agents also raided the home of Gary Brown Jr., a former aide to Mayor Catherine Pugh, who was fired by acting Mayor Jack Young. So coming up, a former FBI agent tells Fox 45 just how serious these raids may be. That story in 15 minutes on Fox 45 News at 10.
New tonight, a man's body has been found in Patapsco Valley State Park. Baltimore County Police say the body was found just before 4 o'clock. Officials say the death is being considered suspicious at this time.
An adult and 2 children are hurt in a vehicle crash in Overly. Officials say one of the children was seriously hurt while the adult was trapped in the wreckage. It happened on Bel Air Road near Manor Avenue. Traffic was shut down in both directions as crews worked to remove the adult. The victims are being treated at Johns Hopkins. We don't know what caused the crash.
Also new tonight, Morgan State University says a man killed in a deadly shooting in Northeast Baltimore on Wednesday was one of its students. Officers responding to reports of a shooting found 21-year-old Kevon Dix' body on Mary Avenue near Glen Oak Avenue. University officials said Dix was a music major. They are extending their condolences to his family. Police are asking anyone with information to call Metro Crime Stoppers. Tornadoes in north-central Louisiana killed 2 people. Funnel clouds ripped through the Ruston and Louisiana Tech University campus around 2:30 in the morning. The National Weather Service said it was an EF3 storm with wind speeds of between 136 and 165 miles per hour. A mother and son were killed when those powerful winds caused a tree to fall on their homes. Well, the life-threatening weather striking the South arrives here tomorrow.
Yeah, we're looking at strong storms and the possibility of a tornado. Chief Meteorologist Vetus Reed joins us with more. Vetus?
Yeah, out there right now is relatively calm as we take a look right now across the city. We just have the clouds out there. Those temperatures are sitting at 64 degrees. Rain's knocking on the door. We'll get some of those showers building in out of the west. Looking at the HD radar, you can see some of those showers a little heavier back just west of Montgomery County and Gaithersburg. This will start to work its way into the Baltimore area over the next hour. So we're looking at some decent rain tonight, but then tomorrow morning is actually what we're going to be watching with this storm system that really caused a lot of severe weather down there over parts of the South, putting into motion. You can see some bands of very heavy thunderstorms through the panhandle of Florida. This will continue to affect them, but it looks like for us, we're going to get a slight risk category for potentially gusty storms for parts of the state tomorrow afternoon and late afternoon evening commute. So tonight, 58 degrees, maybe a rumble of thunder, but definitely some showers. A look ahead to that coming up.
Well, it's one of the biggest days for the NFL, the draft.
It is. The Baltimore Ravens still waiting to make a pick. Sports director Bruce Cunningham joins us with more. Bruce?
Kai, when your team makes the playoffs, they tend to draft a lot later in the first round. In tonight's NFL draft, the Ravens are set to pick 22, and so we've been waiting. But we won't have to wait much longer. Right now, the draft is on pick 17, so we should know within the next 20 minutes or so. You can believe the phone of new GM Eric DeCosta is ringing right now. Remember, DeCosta said all along that if the player he wants isn't there, he's quite open to trading down or maybe out of the first round entirely to get more picks in those later rounds. Our Morgan Adsit is in Owings Mills. We'll hear from her once the Ravens pick. It'll all unfold later in the hour in Sports Unlimited.
Taking no chances, the extreme measures being taken against some unvaccinated college students. Friday is expected to be an important day in the trial of a teen accused in the murder of a Baltimore County police officer. Why tomorrow's testimony will be all about perception. Today's FBI raid of City Hall, just another bad mark for Baltimore. Coming up, why the city's history of trouble is hard to forget. Tomorrow will be the 4th day of testimony in the trial of the teenager charged with killing Baltimore County police officer Emmy Caprio. Detective Barton, the lead detective in the case, is expected to take the stand. Prosecutors will also be introducing Officer Caprio's body camera footage into evidence. The state arguing Dante Harris, who was 16 years old at the time, intentionally killed Officer Caprio, while defense attorneys say her death was an accident. They say how Harris acted after proves that.
After he's walking through the neighborhood, when the neighbor who lives out there says that he was acting calm, now he wasn't running or anything like that, and when he's being interviewed by Barton, and he tells Barton, I didn't even know I hit her, he's asking, do you think I can go home this evening?
Well, 3 other teenagers are charged with first-degree murder in the case. Eugene Genius, Darrell Ward, and Derek Matthews all have trials scheduled to start September 16th. All are being held until their trials. Tonight, an in-depth look into the murder trial involving the accused killer of that Baltimore County police officer.
Operation Crime and Justice lead investigative reporter Joy LaPola sat down with one of the teen's attorneys before this week's trial started.
A Baltimore County jury began to hear evidence in the trial of an accused teenage killer who's been brought up on murder charges in the death of a Baltimore County police officer.
It's really not safe.
We got suspects outstanding.
I don't want to be out here. I don't need to be shot.
Real sorry for the officer that lost her life. That's a tragedy in and of itself.
Like, this is my son.
It's been less than a year since Officer Amy Caprio took her last breath, a 29-year-old Baltimore County police officer about to celebrate her 30th birthday.
Have a seat real quick.
The suspected killer, who was 16 at the time, had recently been released from custody and placed on electronic monitoring, a decision even the teenager's own mother attempted to stop.
I asked for him to be detained because it was a cycle.
Now, almost 12 months later, Dante Harris is the first of 4 teenagers accused in the officer's murder to stand trial.
There'll be no winners in this case. It's just all losers.
Prior to this week's trial beginning, I sat down with one of Dante Harris's attorneys, Warren Brown.
This is an inner city black kid coming out to a well-to-do white neighborhood, and it leads to the death of a white police officer who is a female. I mean, that's the worst combination that you could have.
Dante Harris was in the county in a Jeep that detectives say was reported stolen from the city. When Harris and Officer Caprio came face to face, police say Harris was waiting for 3 of his friends who were committing burglaries in the area.
The 3 components of this case, his statement that he gave, the body cam video, and the evidence that the state will put forth to indicate that he knew or should have known that his colleagues were committing felonies, which then makes his act of felony murder.
So we believe we have a solid theory.
Up until opening statements on Tuesday, video from Officer Caprio's body-worn camera had not been seen publicly. There was only the description police provided.
She exited her car, ordered the driver out of that car. The driver opened the door. Then the door closed, and the car hit her, struck her, drove over her.
From the Jeep striking Caprio to the officer moaning in pain to the last breath she took, everything was captured on her body-worn camera.
It's clear in my mind that there was no intention on his part to run her over or kill her.
Even if Harris's legal team can prove that, the teen could still be convicted of felony murder if prosecutors can show Harris knew the burglaries were happening.
We have a 16-year-old who has caused the death of one of our police officers. Did the system not work? It sounds like it could have worked better in this particular case. This 16-year-old perhaps shouldn't have been out. But now we have a 16 we're treating as an adult because of the gravity of the offense that he has committed. And that's serious business.
Harris is the first of 4 teenagers to stand trial. All 4 are facing felony murder. Now, if you have information on a story you'd like us to investigate, we want to hear from you. You can call us at 410-662-1456, or you can send us an email to crimeandjustice@foxbaltimore.com. I'm Joy LaPola, and this is Operation Crime and Justice. And now it's time for a look at our weather, and we could have some severe weather moving in tomorrow.
Let's check in with meteorologist Vetus Reed.
Yeah, it's all associated with those storms that brought tornadoes in the south, where they're still getting some volatile weather even at this hour at night. Looks like that slight risk category is going to be sliding up towards our portion of the country as we get through the day tomorrow. Let's talk about what's going on out there. Right now, tracking a system that's moving through the south. As we look at the graphics, you can see that area of low pressure associated with a front that's pushing in the south is helping lift the atmosphere. A lot of warm, moist air moving through parts of Mississippi, Alabama. They're under this slight risk category tonight, as those lines of storms down in southern Georgia, southeastern Alabama continue to see some pretty good heavy rainmakers and gusty wind. Now, they're under that slight risk category for severe storms south of Dothan, Alabama, over towards Tallahassee and those areas. But that's going to be sliding up towards the mid-Atlantic, including parts of central and eastern Maryland, eastern Virginia, and parts of North Carolina as we go through the afternoon tomorrow. So we have a potential for getting some gusty storms. Main threat would be gusty winds, heavy downpours of rain, also maybe an isolated tornado. Can't rule it out, but nonetheless, I'm going to time it out for you, showing when maybe the most potential for severe weather will occur. I'll time that out for you coming up in my forecast.
Thank you, Vetus. Is Congress doing enough for you? Tonight, a look at how tough it's been this session for lawmakers to actually make laws.
The mayor
Baltimore City's supposed to be an uplift to the city.
Investigations into Mayor Pugh's Healthy Holly deals have intensified. Now Governor Hogan takes a stand. Hear how Congressman Elijah Cummings is choosing his words carefully.
But first, subpoenas, raids, documents, and accusations. We ask an expert what all this means for Mayor Pugh and now the city of Baltimore moving forward.
Back to the breaking news that we've been following all day. The FBI raids the homes and business offices and City Hall connected to Mayor Catherine Pugh. Joining us right now is former FBI agent Tyrone Powers to give us some insight into what this means. What does it mean, Dr. Powers?
Well, it's a fast-moving investigation because in a very short period of time from the initiation of hearing about this situation, the FBI has put together a team, conducted some investigation, conducted some interviews, and developed enough probable cause to get search warrants to convince a federal judge that there's evidence of a crime at the mayor's office, at the other offices that they're searching, that they need to investigate this thoroughly.
So can the public deduce that this has something to do directly with the Healthy Holly book scandal, or we simply don't know at this point?
We simply don't know, but what we do know is that that is the origin of the investigation, that there was inquiries made. When they begin to look into it, they may have found other things. The FBI probably wouldn't be involved just in an ethics investigation. It would have to be public corruption. There would have to be some mail fraud, some wire fraud, some other things involved. And again, it would have to be enough evidence to convince a federal judge to let us go and search City Hall, let us search an attorney's office, let us search these other locations, including the mayor's house, even when she's sick.
The mayor is entitled to due process and has
doubt.
a presumption of innocence. But from an outward point, this is being reported nationwide, if not across the globe. This looks bad.
Well, it does look bad. And it's hard for her to gain back her reputation no matter what happens. But the fact that they have the documents, the fact that they have to do a forensic analysis, forensic accounting, means that they haven't put together a final case to indict her yet. So she's not indicted yet. But it does look bad, not only for her, but for other people who may be associated with those records that will now undergo a forensic analysis.
This could be the tip of the iceberg.
This could definitely be the tip of the iceberg. And the fact that you have the FBI involved, the IRS, and so many other agencies that the FBI work with, it probably is the tip of the iceberg.
All right. Tyrone Powers, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Taking no chances, the extreme measures being taken against some unvaccinated college students.
Just not right at all. It's not right.
Changing the rules, what the Baltimore City Council is planning to do to create more power when it comes to future mayors.
Reliving Baltimore's troubled past, why many say when it comes to Baltimore mayors, the present feels like an extension of the past.
And it looks like we're having a chance for some stronger storms moving our way for tomorrow, tracking some heavy thunderstorms down to the south over parts of Florida right now. I'll show you how that'll affect your day tomorrow coming up next.
Continuing to follow the big breaking news today, the FBI raids connected to Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh and her Healthy Holly book deals. Agents with the FBI and IRS carried boxes and boxes of documents out of 7 locations across Baltimore, including 2 homes that Mayor Catherine Pugh owns in Northwest Baltimore. Also, her lawyer's office downtown, the offices of the nonprofit that she founded, and the home of one of her former aides, and the location that brought the most onlookers, City Hall, where the city solicitor later addressed the actions of the FBI agents.
I have received from the agents a return, which is sort of a legal term, for an inventory of what was seized.
Mayor Pugh's attorney confirmed that she was inside her home during the raid. He says she apologizes for being a distraction to the city. Well, there is a significant amount of money that may be tied to this investigation. If you take the $500,000 that the University of Maryland Medical System paid, add the $90,000 from Associated Black Charities, also the $114,000 Kaiser Permanente paid, and the $100,000 Grant Capital Management donated, we're at roughly $800,000 involved in the Healthy Holly book deals.
Despite the raid at City Hall today, Acting Mayor Jack Young insists He's keeping the city on track. Young helped open a community outreach center in West Baltimore this afternoon and says he regrets the negative publicity, which was fueled by today's action.
To be honest with you, I was shocked. I had no knowledge of it. And like I told everybody else, it gives Baltimore a bad look nationally. And that's the only thing that I'm dismayed about. But other than that, I'm running the city. Things are moving. And I'm keeping everybody informed of what we're doing and how we're going to do it.
Several City Hall employees were allowed to take early leave today in reaction to the federal raid on the second floor of City Hall.
Well, 3 of Mayor Pugh's aides who have just been terminated have been linked to those raids by the FBI today. Political reporter John Rydell has that part of the story.
At the Maryland Center for Adult Training on Park Heights Avenue, FBI agents could be seen removing boxes and boxes of documents. It's one of several locations raided by FBI agents, which also included the home of Gary Brown Jr. He was an aide to Mayor Pugh before being terminated this week by acting Mayor Jack Young. Also terminated this week, Poetry Deal and Afra Vance White. All 3 once served on the board of this job training center. On Park Heights Avenue, residents were upset at the sight of federal agents outside.
It's the second mayor that we done had so far that did some corrupt stuff for us, the city. And like I said, until you get regular people in there that's going to do their job the right way, then that's when our city is going to get right.
The center, which receives city funds, offers underemployed and unemployed citizens job training skills. Mayor Pugh once served as its director. Do you know if the Maryland Center for Adult Training receives any federal money?
I have the slightest idea. I really don't know anything about that.
Now, in light of these raids, a reporter asked the acting Mayor Jack Young whether Mayor Pugh should resign, and he simply said that's up to her. At City Hall, John Rydell, Fox 45 News.
While the city mayor's office is no stranger to controversy, political expert Matthew Crenson says today's federal raid is unprecedented.
We have had mayors who've done questionable things, but none that got indicted for them. For example, there was a mayor in the 1920s, and again in the up to 1943, who had an insurance company, and he sold the city 1/3 of all its fire insurance, which might be considered improper today, but in those days, people hardly talked about it. And then, of course, in the Civil War, we had a mayor arrested by federal military authorities because he was suspected of being disloyal to the Union. But he wasn't, there was no raid on City Hall.
We've been bringing you updates on the FBI raids all day, both on air and online. To get the latest updates and to take a look back at how we got here, you can go to our website, foxbaltimore.com.
We do have some weather changes heading this way.
Chief Meteorologist Vitas Reed joining us once again. Tomorrow could be a little rough later in the day.
Yeah, the further south you go in the state, the better the chances to get a little more gusty storms and into northern Virginia. But still, we're in the potential to get some severe storms. Now, most of it's been in the south tonight and earlier today. There's been some tornadoes and some problems down there. But today, historically, on this day, we had the beginning of a tornado outbreak that was historic with how many that we had back in 2011. In fact, talking about what was going on back in 2011. We had 4 days of severe weather. It began with the outlook with that area shaded in the brown with the potential for multiple tornadoes and severe thunderstorms. A record of 360 confirmed tornadoes occurred over a span of 4 days, and there was 348 deaths caused by these storms. So on the 25th back in 2011, those were the stormy areas, and then it expanded across on the next day. High risk was issued, which doesn't happen often, where they had a high risk for severe storms across parts of Arkansas and northern Louisiana, and then really it got hammered over parts of Alabama and parts of Mississippi, where we had the Tuscaloosa tornado, very well known. These were strong tornadoes, long tracking tornadoes, and down towards Birmingham. And then it even extended to the East Coast. On the 4th day, just scattered thunderstorms with gusty winds, but really a very interesting day back then. And real quick, these are the lines of tracks of those tornadoes back on April 27, 2011. 2011, this was the day that had the worst amount of tornadoes. You can see these strong lines of EF4 tornadoes and EF5 tornadoes across the northern portions of Alabama and parts of Mississippi, Georgia, into Tennessee. So this was a very volatile day. Now, we have actively severe storms down to the south caused by this area of low pressure, and that is going to create heavy rain across the south. They're getting some heavy rain across parts of Biloxi down there towards Pensacola, now making its way towards Crestview and Tallahassee. And how that plays out for us is this activity is going to continue to roll up the coast, giving us a chance for some activity with the slight risk category for storms. Right now it's over the south, but that's going to be shifting along the mid-Atlantic, stretching from Baltimore down through the D.C. area, North Carolina. So definitely we have a risk for some storms. A little closer look just south of Baltimore. Folks down in Anne Arundel County, down towards Charles, St. Mary's County, as well as on the eastern shore, looking at Talbot, Caroline, down towards Wycomico County. These counties will all be under a slight risk category. But we have a marginal risk for some strong gusty storms across our area as well. Now, what is the storm threat index for tomorrow? Heavy rain is the highest potential. We could get some flooding from some of those storms, but then also winds will be a factor. Could there be a spin up of a quick tornado? Potentially in some of these storms late afternoon. And timing it out, it looks like it'll happen late in the afternoon. Morning, we may get some showers for your morning commute, so have your umbrellas ready. As that front approaches, it's going to help lift the atmosphere and give us some segmented lines of thunderstorms with gusty winds and heavy downpours of rain. But by Friday night, it gets out of here. Saturday, it looks nice and clear, but by Sunday morning, another round of showers. But a little closer look at the future scan. Tonight, some showers pushing through. And then tomorrow morning, this is 7:30 a.m., looking at some rain picking up across the area. Then we get a little bit of a break, but then it starts picking up as the front gets closer. This is about 3 o'clock. A nice line of thunderstorms moving through 4 p.m. And then we're looking at 5 p.m., starting to move east. 6 p.m., still another possible line getting through here. And then it starts breaking up by 8, 9 o'clock. Maybe a trailing shower late overnight. But we have to watch these storms closely with the potential of those gusty storms across the area. Your 7-day forecast looks like this. Showers and thunderstorms tomorrow, slight risk category for part of the state. 72 our temperature. Clearing out on Saturday, breezy 65. Sunday, looking at some sun, clouds, maybe a few morning showers. Monday, more sunshine, breezy 64. 70s for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And it looks like we're going to see those chances for rain once again by Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Back to you.
All right, Vitas, thank you. Is Congress doing enough for you? Coming up in our next half hour, we'll take a look at how tough it's been this session for lawmakers to actually make laws.
That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
It took months for him to decide, but you heard it. Former Vice President Joe Biden challenging President Trump in 2020 why he believes voters will embrace him.
The raid is over, the agents are gone, but all is not well at City Hall. The very latest tonight on The Late Edition.
Former Vice President Joe Biden officially announced his candidacy for president today in a 3-minute speech that was posted online. The speech took place in Delaware, where Biden was a senator for 36 years. Biden referenced the 2017 Charlottesville rally and President Trump's public remarks after the fact. He believes voters will embrace him as a figure of stability and maturity.
I tell you what, the issue is going to be who not only who can win this, but who's the best person to lead the country. And that's what it's going to be all about. And it's going to be for the voters to decide that.
This is Biden's third run for the Democratic presidential nomination. Right now, he faces at least 20 other Democratic major candidates.
A spring break of sorts for Congress. They're back in their home districts, but it doesn't mean they're not working. Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman explains why it's been so hard for lawmakers to actually make laws.
What people want from Congress is plenty. What they get can fall short. Both sides are disappointed so far. The House Minority Leader said it's been 100 days of nothing. The Senate Minority Leader called that chamber a legislative graveyard. A government shutdown meant they couldn't do much until mid-February, and they're intensely divided along party lines, even within parties.
I don't know if there's reason to be optimistic. We're only 4 months into a Congress, but we're less than 2 months away from the Democratic presidential debate starting. So, you know, we're getting more and more absorbed by the presidential campaign.
Congress has passed 18 laws, though President Trump vetoed 2 of them, and priorities, Gary Nordlinger says, are polarizing.
Whether it be gun control, whether it be immigration, whether it be health care,
Are we close to passing any of these?
No, come on. Gun control's a non-starter. Healthcare, I think you could nibble around the edges. Immigration, I would love to see the Democrats do something with this, but I think anything they think they would do would end up being to the benefit of Republicans.
And what about those laws that Congress does pass? Are they more substantive, that change policy and authorize spending, or more ceremonial, like naming post offices and commemorating historic dates? Pew Research shows that while in the mid-90s, 89% of bills were deemed substantive, but there's been a disappointing decline. Last session, nearly a third of laws passed were ceremonial. If they can rebound with results, well, only time will tell.
You know, if we're doing this conversation in April of next year, and it's still like this, then man, what a do-nothing Congress.
In Washington, I'm Scott Thunman.
Conflicting events took place this evening in honor of Colonel Melvin Russell, who is leaving the Baltimore Police Department. The department held a retirement party honoring the colonel, who has been on the force for 39 years. Meanwhile, around 80 protesters at City Hall said that Russell wasn't leaving voluntarily and was being forced out. Acting Mayor Jack Young attended the retirement ceremony and proclaimed today as Colonel Melvin Russell Day in Baltimore City.
Time for a detailed look at our weekend forecast.
Here's Chief Meteorologist Vitas Reed. Vitas.
Well, once again, getting into Friday, there could be a chance for some gusty thunderstorms, mainly heavy rain and gusty winds through the late afternoon, really picking up after about 2, 3 o'clock into their evening rush hour, and then by Friday night clearing out. So 72 our high. Keep an eye to the sky because of that potential of gusty storms. Looking at Saturday, clearing up, breezy, 65, a pretty decent Saturday. Then Sunday, maybe some morning showers clearing out with some sun in the afternoon, high 71. So we'll keep an eye out for some severe weather potential as we get through the day on Friday. Back to you.
Vitas, thank you. Watch us wherever you are on a new local channel called Stir Baltimore. The Stir app is available on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon's Fire TV. Pick Baltimore to start watching local programming. Stir is owned by a subsidiary of Sinclair Broadcast Group, the parent company of this station.
We're hearing from Mayor Pugh's attorney for the first time since her Healthy Holly book scandal broke. What he's saying about the mayor's health and whether she'll resign. That's coming up on the Late Edition.
New information about the Coast Guard lieutenant accused of plotting a domestic terror attack. The surprising decision from a federal judge in about 10 minutes on the Late Edition.
Plus, the Ravens are close to making their first pick of the NFL draft for 2019. An update next in Sports Unlimited.
The NFL draft, it's been a long night in Nashville, and it is not over yet. The Ravens were set to pick moments ago at number 22, but that didn't happen. As expected, the Ravens traded back. Their war room has been absolutely jumping the last 20 minutes. New GM Eric DeCosta said all along that the Ravens would be open to trading back, and that's exactly what he did, sending the Ravens pick, the 22nd overall, to the Philadelphia Eagles. In exchange, the Ravens get the Eagles' first-round pick, which is number 25. And in addition, they get the Eagles' picks in the 4th and 6th rounds, the 127th and 197th overall. DeCosta only had 8 picks going in and said gaining extra picks was something they try to do. And don't go far away, assuming they hang on to it. The Ravens will be picking with that new 25th pick within the next few minutes. The first-round pickings are getting slim, but they can get the receiver they covet at 25. We'll see. Here's a look at the remaining Ravens draft pick. They won't pick it all in the second round, barring any additional trades, but they do hold 2 picks in the third round at 85 and 102 overall. Then on Saturday, they begin 3 with 4th-round picks, 3 4th-round picks, selecting 113th and 10 picks later at 123, and that 127th pick they got just now from Philly. Just 1 5th-round pick, 160 overall. Then they wrap things up a round early with 3 more 6th-rounders at 191, 193, and 197. Our Morgan Atzett is live in Owings Mills, manning the vigil, as it were. We'll go to her for reaction at 11:30 as Sports Unlimited continues.
All right, Bruce, thank you. A virus once deemed cured continues to grow in certain areas of the United States. More than 300 unvaccinated students and staff at UCLA and Cal State LA have been quarantined for potential exposure to measles. Students who could not prove their vaccination status are also in quarantine until they can prove their immunity. A small measles outbreak is happening in L.A. as the number of cases in California rises. The majority of measles cases in California are linked to overseas travel. Well, the number of measles cases reported this year is the highest that it's been in the U.S. in 2 decades. Officials are saying that the outbreak is caused and spread by people refusing to vaccinate themselves or their children. Outbreaks of the virus are particularly bad in Washington State and Rockland, New York, where a state of emergency has been declared. Anyone infected in Rockland is barred from all public spaces.
They've been seeing how different scare stories that have absolutely no basis in fact can be confusing, can do false accusations that there is a link between immunization and autism.
Well, mandatory vaccination orders have been issued in Brooklyn neighborhoods that have been exposed to the virus. 95% of a community needs to be vaccinated to effectively prevent the spread of measles.
Coming up, everyone likes to play, even polar bears. Furry friends at the Alaskan Zoo got a fun new toy today that the internet can't get enough of. Well, did you know that you can get Fox 45 News in a flash through your Amazon Alexa or Echo? We now deliver your local headlines and your forecasts in less than 2 minutes. The news is updated several times a day. If you have an Amazon device, just say Enable Fox 45 Baltimore.
The internet is in a frenzy over polar bears and their new favorite toy.
A new polar bear at the Alaskan Zoo was given a special welcome to her new home. A local sandwich shop found out that the new bear's favorite toy at her old zoo was a giant plastic pickle, so they sent her one at her new zoo home. The pickle gained popularity fast, and the polar bears soon started fighting over it. An elementary school class has promised to raise enough money to get each polar bear their own pickle.